Good morning. This is H coming at you with a first video in a series that is going to all be about Inventor Professional 2023 tutorials and assistance in part creation, drawings, and assemblies. And we might even get into some presentations as we continue on with the series as just a tutorial. So without any further ado, we're going to get started in looking at the user interface in this video. We'll cover all the way up into the point where you're about to be creating your first part, and then we'll look at the first part creation and etc. in the videos to follow. So this one is all about the user interface. As we open up Inventor, our professional version 2023 here, we're given a series of windows, a user interface, a series of panels, buttons, tabs, all kinds of different things. We're going to talk about what those are and what they do to some extent. And then as we continue moving forward in these videos and tutorials, you'll see a lot more things being used from the user interface that we're build the foundations of today. So the first thing we're going to notice is that as I open this up, it's going to give me this large screen for me personally, because this is the recent screen. You might see like a get working screen if you haven't done anything in the software. This is just giving me a preview of things, of part files and things that have been made on this computer or opened on this computer for different projects. And so like you can see the part files that are here in picture form. And then you can also see like an assembly here, the prismatic joint, and it just keeps on going throughout. There's a drawing files that are here of these part files that are related here, the small pivot block. So this is the recent, you can also have this in like a list form. I personally like the previews. That way it shows you what you're opening before you open it. It's a nice little preview option there in the recents, but you won't see this unless you've actually done some work on Inventor before. So let's get started on looking at kind of the commands, the icons that are up here at the very top. So we start at the top left-hand corner here. You're going to see a page with a little dog-eared corner on it. This is the symbol for new, creating a new file. So if I click on that, it's going to open up this window here. We'll do more about this window later. But this is the new window. We'll look at this in a moment. If I hit the little down arrow next to that, I can see assemblies, drawings, parts, and presentations. These are the 4 file types that Autodesk Inventor uses in the entire program. Assemblies are puzzles. Think of it like a puzzle or a Lego set, a chair, a computer, a table, a car. All of those things are an assembly of multiple different parts all coming together to create something as a whole, right? So assemblies are that. They're a conglomeration and assembly of multiple part files, which are here. And when those part files go together, they make the assembly, and the assembly is completed with all the parts. The drawing files, you can make drawings of part files of assemblies, and those drawings communicate the technical information needed to create the part in its sizing and shape, or in an assembly can give a bill of materials, part lists, all the information needed to create the assembly and what parts are needed. So drawings are the communication document that is going to be created about your assembly, about your part files. The presentation itself, presentation is 3D presentation, a showing of a part file or an assembly or both, and it can go into exploded view, shrink it down, and it's just to show off what you've created as far as the assembly goes or a part file goes. And so the presentations are a last resort possibility as far as what is being used to communicate information. Drawings, number 1. So assemblies, drawings, parts, presentation, they're in alphabetical order here. They are not in the order in which they are made. Typically, we'll start with a part file being made. You'll make a drawing of that part file. You'll make some more part files. Once you get all your part files ready to go and enough, you would put them into the assembly, create the assembly, and then make a drawing of that assembly. So that is kind of the order of operations. And then the presentation would come last at the end if you needed a presentation at all of your particular project. Okay, so we have the new here, and then again we can open up a window, which we will do shortly again. We have the open folder icon here, which is just to open up projects or part files that have already been started and saved onto the computer or a disk or whatever you saved your projects on. And so there's different previews of the different files that are here, a little boat drawing, boat assembly, a little boat toy, lazy tong pieces, right? So you have a preview of what it is you're trying to open as you go in the open window, and you can open this up into the Inventor environment and be able to edit it, change it, use it in an assembly or whatever you needed to do with that particular document or file. So that's the open. This is the save icon. And again, you will always want to save often while you're working on something, save often, and just in case there's an issue with the computer or the software crashing, right? Save often as much as you can as you are working. Don't know why they use this old icon still. It's not the 1980s or the 1990s where we had these hard disks anymore. We hardly use anything like that, right? So the hard disk icon here is the save. This is your best friend when learning Inventor, when learning any kind of software like this, CAD softwares. The undo button, Control Z, if you have an issue with what you've drawn, with what you've created in your part file or your assembly, Control Z it or hit this undo button here. Completely fine to do. A great tool to get out of a sticky situation. And then this next tool here is redo. So again, if you undo too far, you can redo and you should be set and good to go. All right. This is the home key here. If we hit the home key, it's going to take us to a home screen, which is exactly where we were. Again, mine says recent. Yours might say something else. We also have this little drop down arrow where we can customize the quick access toolbar that we've currently looked at. We could add projects to it right here, right? Projects, created a workplace, right? We can customize what this looked like. And you're going to see a lot of customization options for the user interface as we move forward. There's a lot of things that are listed in the user interface. There's a lot of things that are there by default. There's also some things that are not there by default settings. And so you can you can manipulate and change and customize what your user interface experience will look like, depending upon these settings and what selections you have made. You can also search help and commands up here in this little type box. You can sign into an Autodesk account if you have one. You can go shopping. You can ask some questions and some general about Autodesk Inventor tools in here. Learn more and connecting to online resources and good stuff. After we get through this quick access toolbar that's up here, we're looking at the tabs here. These are tabs. This location, tools, collaborate, those are your primary tabs that are here right now. The tab selection will increase as we go into different environments and different files that Inventor can open. So the file tab gives us kind of the same idea as the quick access toolbar did. We have new, we have open, save as, export, share, manage, iProperties. iProperties will become really big later on. We'll look at that specifically. Printing and closing the file or whatever you're working on. So the file tab gives us, again, a little bit redundancy when it comes to what is here in the quick access toolbar that's up here at the top. So the file tab is there for convenience. It also lists recent documents that are here, which is great. So if you were working on something, you could see the recents that are here in the window, but they're also listed here, the most recent first typically, but you can also change this to whatever you want it to be, right? Customization for the user interface is a big deal. There's a lot of it. The next tab here is tools. And again, you can kind of see what tab is selected based upon its coloration. We have a little bit of a graying out area here, like we had for the gray out of the save button, where we couldn't actually save anything because nothing is currently open to save. So the tools right now is grayed out. Collaborate is a different coloration, much lighter off-white color. And so when we go to tools, it switches that. And so that tells us what tab we have currently selected and we have active as far as using. When we change a tab, when we select a specific tab, let's click on tools right here for now. It changes what is called the ribbon. This whole large ribbon that goes across the screen here in the user interface is called the ribbon. The ribbon is separated out by panels. This is the first panel here. It says options. You can see that again, highlighted gray appears, and there's a highlighted, and it goes all the way to this gray line that kind of goes through and separates the content center area panel from the options panel. So a lot of times you'll hear go to the tool tab, application options panel, application options. And if you select that, it's going to give you different things that you can change specifically about how your Inventor user interface looks, how it operates, and just some quality of life things that you can change as far as what you like your settings to be. You're going to see a lot of default settings in these tutorials with some minor changes that I've made here and there, but you can customize it as you see fit, displaying grid lines or whatever it happens to be as I close out the application options. So you can change a lot of that and you can play with those different options as you move forward. So we have all this section here, the ribbon, which is the panel for options, all these different tools that are here, Content Center, iLogic, Web, and Team Web. So all these panels are sections of the ribbon. This is an important concept, important terminology to understand. If we go to the Collaborate tab, it's going to change this to a shared views share panel and a data exchange load panel here. So as we change tabs, it changes what the ribbon is displaying as optional tools to use for the user interface. And that's a big deal because that's how this system will operate throughout the entire life of every part file, every assembly file, every drawing file, every presentation file. The tabs and ribbon will be changing according to those environmental files. So as we look forward to what we want to do now, we are going to open up a part file. We'll not be starting the part in this tutorial, but again, we'll be looking at the user interface, the ribbons, the panels, etc., and just talking about navigating through those as we move forward. So if we go to the new, this is our new window here. This is what standardly opens up by default normally. We have templates. Now, templates just specify what measurement system that we will be using when using and making a part file template. So sheet metal part file, standard part file, standard assembly, and a weldment assembly, standard drawing IDW, and a standard presentation. Again, we have part files, assembly files, drawing files, presentation files, same idea as what we looked at before. This time they're in a little bit more of a working order, right? Part files are going to be what you're going to be making first, making those part files, throwing them in an assembly, if you have an assembly to create, and then making a drawing to communicate the information of part files and assembly files as you move forward. So in this window, however, it uses by default, and where we're set up here, with inches as an English, or what's called the Imperial Measurement System, IPS, using inches, pounds, and seconds as our measurements of length, mass, and time. So IPS, inches, pounds, seconds, is what the standard US Imperial templates will be using. And if we expand the caret here, we'll see it break down even further. We can go to English, and again, this is English Imperial for inches, and all these file types that are here, again, with parts, assemblies, drawings, presentations, and they're all here for us to choose and to use one of these templates as we move forward. However, if you are using a metric system of measurement, so the superior measurement system, it is a great measurement system to use, used all over the world and absolutely fantastic. The metric system is here. And again, this is a metric system, or what is called MMGS, which is millimeters, grams, and seconds. Millimeters are the default length standard. Grams would be the mass measurement standard, and seconds will be the time measurement standard for all of these. So as you move forward, you will see the differences between using these two template folders and the different part files that will be made and using these different templates, using the different measurement systems. So English we're going to just open up a standard part file. This is a decent starting point for anyone learning Autodesk Inventor to create part files first, as they are the building blocks, literally and figuratively, for everything that we're going to be doing in this software, right? So standard IPT. As we open this up, it's going to change all about this user interface, right? Everything kind of changes. It looks different. So we go to the easy access the taskbar up here. We have the same save, undo, all the things here. We start adding more components here. Now, what's great about Inventor is that if you just leave your mouse cursor on any of these tools, any of these panels, you will get this that opens up. A little window that says press F1 for more help. So if you needed more additional help, Inventor will help you along the way on its own, right? So you can see, like, again, we can see what this refined appearance does. Like, does a little definition, what's happening. It tries to give you a nice example pictorial about what's happening. And then it just keeps going, like, in all these different things that are here, generic, default. We'll cover these later. It has to do with material composition and all that good stuff. Right here, it says part 2. Part 2 is the default name given to this part that I've started it. I have not saved it and given it its real name. But part 2 is because I had opened up a part 1 file earlier in the day and not closed Inventor and kind of restarted the software. That part file was named part 1. The second one that I've opened now is part 2. So we can see, like, okay, it's given itself a default name, at least until I save it as what I need to save the part file as. Again, we can sign in and all that stuff that's up there. What changed dramatically, what it gave us a lot more of, is all the tabs. File is still there, and the file tab will always be there. But here it gave us a 3D model tab, sketch, annotate, inspect, tools, manage, view, environments, collaborate, Fusion 360. And then it gives us this, and this is a way to customize what this looks like. Again, it's all about customization. We can, we can change it to look smaller and look more like everything's just like a tab size or just the tabs, right? And so you can kind of cycle through as you're learning what best suits you as far as the user interface goes. So all the tabs are here. The panel is here, and the panel is much, much more full of all kinds of tools and options for the ribbon to be here. So the ribbon is what this panel create and modify and explore and work features. So we'll go through these and make sure, and not in this video, but as we move forward, we'll make sure to cover what these tools specifically do. So we can see that the tabs change, the ribbon changes based upon that. Since we are now in a part file, we have 2 windows. We have the model browser window that is here, called the model browser. I've called it the browser window plenty of times. If you're familiar with SolidWorks, it's also called a property manager. So it's the same idea. What this shows you is here's your part name, and then it has all these default things that are in there: the view, the model states, the view, and then the origin. These are all the default things that are currently in the 3D environment that is right here next to us in this large gray open area. This 3D environment is where the work of the sketching, the modeling will be done, and the producing of part files, and then assemblies later, and an assembly file, et cetera, et cetera. So the browser window, though, gives us a chronological order of the events that are going to happen whenever we are creating something: part file, assembly, drawing. Whenever you're creating something, a chronological record is generated automatically of what you are creating. So this is important. This is an important aspect of the Inventor software, as you can track what things are, what order things have been made in, who made them, et cetera, et cetera. So part 2 is our name. The origin, as we expand this out, the origin gives us the planes that exist, XY plane. Just like in mathematics, we have the x-axis and y-axis here. So the plane that is created by those 2 axes is here. And again, x-axis, y-axis is located here in the triad of this three-dimensional space. So if I go to just start sketch, it is actually going to, as you can see, turn the view cube like I'm looking at from the side. If I just go to the front view, the word front is front. I can read it. There it is. The XY plane is there. The XY plane is the front view of a part. If I turn this cube, if I click this arrow here to the side, turn it to the right side, the YZ plane is the right side of that part. Again, I can manipulate this again and go to the top view. Make sure I can read the word top. This is the XZ plane that exists in the three-dimensional space that is created for me to work in as the work environment. And I can select one of these starting planes to begin drawing on. I need to draw on a flat surface. These planes are the original flat surfaces that are included in the origin by default as we open up a template as a part file. So we can see if we go to the corner, again, this is a front, top, right side isometric view. As we hit this corner, we can see all these planes here, XY plane, YZ plane, and the XZ plane. So all these planes are already in existence in this three-dimensional software, in this three-dimensional space that is here. And we are going to fill that space with our designs, work as we work through different part files, and then into assemblies and into drawings. You will see how this is going to be used. The other thing that's here is also the triad, as we talked about just moments ago. We have the x-axis that's here, the y, and the z. So it is a three-dimensional space where you can move along the x-axis, you can move along the y-axis, and move along the z-axis in all those directions that are there. The view cube is here, and we'll manipulate this a bit. And then, of course, this are for more manipulation of objects as we move forward. You'll see this being used and the view cube being used, and we will talk about those as I use them and as I demonstrate. But that is the user interface up until the point where we start modeling and start using the software, the Inventor 2023 software, to model and create part files. And as we go into part files, assemblies, drawings, and presentations. Hope you enjoyed the video. We'll see you next time.